My sister's secret friend. I hadn't seen my sister Emma smile in months. She used to be the most joyful person I knew. Her laugh could light up a room. But after our parents passed in a car accident last year, that light disappeared. We both lost our way in our grief. But Emma, she became almost unrecognizable. Uh, she would spend hours in her room, sometimes talking to herself. At first, I thought it was her way of coping. Maybe she was talking to mom and dad, pretending they were still here. I even encouraged it. If it helped her heal, I wouldn't interfere. Eh. But then she started mentioning someone. A asterisk friend asterisk. We talk every night, she said one day, eyes wide with a strange gleam. He understands me, even better than you do. I didn't question it. I wanted to believe it was just an imaginary friend, something to fill the emptiness our parents left behind. I thought she was finally finding some relief. That was until I met him. It was late, maybe around 2 a.m. when I first heard the whispers. Emma's door was cracked open, and through it, I heard her talking. Except this time, there was a voice responding. A deep, raspy whisper. The kind that makes your skin crawl, like nails scraping over bone. I froze outside her door, listening. I told you, Emma whispered. I can't go yet. I can't leave my brother. There was a long silence before the voice responded, soft but sinister. He can come too. My heart stopped. I leaned in closer, but the floor creaked beneath me. The whispers fell silent. The door slowly creaked open, and Emma stood there, her eyes half closed but aware. He says you're listening, she whispered. Her voice was flat, like she was in a trance. He says you shouldn't. I forced a smile. Who are you talking to, Em? She blinked, then turned back to her room. My friend, she said, as if it was the most normal thing in the world. He's been here since the accident. He watches over us. I pushed the door open wider, and what I saw made my stomach churn. There was something in the corner of her room. A shape, darker than the shadows, standing unnaturally still. It was tall, impossibly thin, its limbs long and twisted. It almost blended into the darkness. But its eyes... God, its eyes. They glowed a sickly yellow, unblinking, locked onto me. I stumbled backward, trying to process what I was seeing. It wasn't human. It wasn't asterisk, real asterisk. But Emma didn't seem scared. She just sat on her bed, staring at me with that same blank expression. He says he can take away the pain, she said, her voice soft and almost pleading. He can make it all better, for both of us. I don't remember how I responded. I think I stammered something about needing air, needing to think. But I bolted from the room and locked myself in mine, my heart racing, my mind spiraling. How could she see that thing and not be terrified? I barely slept that night. Every creak in the house, every groan of the floorboards made me feel like it was getting closer, that the shadow in Emma's room was spreading. The next day, Emma was different. Distant. She wouldn't meet my eyes, wouldn't talk about the night before. She only gave me one strange warning as I was about to leave for work. He's waiting, you know, she said almost cheerfully. He doesn't like being ignored. I tried not to go home that night. I drove around aimlessly for hours, my mind reeling. I thought about calling someone, a therapist, a priest, anyone. But how do you explain that kind of madness? My sister was broken. I was broken. We were lost in our grief, and now there was something else in our house, feeding on that pain. When I finally returned, the house was dark, silent. I found Emma's room empty. Her bed was made, her belongings untouched. There was no note, no sign of a struggle. She was just... gone. I searched the house, screaming her name, but all I found was that oppressive silence. And then I heard the whisper. That same raspy voice, but this time, it came from my room. I opened the door slowly, and there, sitting on the edge of my bed, was Emma. Her eyes were wide, her face pale. She looked up at me with a strange, hollow smile. "He's here for you now," she said. "He says it's your turn." Before I could move, before I could even comprehend what was happening, the room grew colder. The darkness in the corner began to shift. It was him. The same twisted figure from before, except now it was clearer, more defined, like it had been feeding off something, off asterisk her asterisk. I tried to back away, but I couldn't. My body felt paralyzed, my limbs heavy. The air grew thick, suffocating. He's going to take you where Mom and Dad are," Emma said softly, her voice tinged with something like relief. "You'll see. It's not so bad." I'm writing this from my car, parked in some random lot miles away from the house. I don't know what that thing is or what it wants with us. All I know is that it took my sister, and it's coming for me next. I can feel it. The cold, the heaviness. It's getting harder to stay awake, harder to think. Every time I close my eyes, I hear that voice whispering, promising to take me to them, promising to end the pain. I don't know how much longer I can fight it. If you're reading this, please, if you ever hear a voice in the darkness, don't listen asterisk. Don't let it in. I've already lost my sister. Don't let it take me too.